Hello, it's the Friday Talkie. Cool t-shirt. Anyway, yes, is this going to be the Friday Grumble? I like that suggested title, thank you Lee. Okay, I got asked, when I did my 44th birthday video, I was asked, what am I going to do with the Raspberry Pi? And tell us more about it, and stuff like that. Right. I have got the Pi now in a new case, which is really cool. I got it off of Amazon. I'm getting most of the stuff for this off of Amazon. Just put in a search for Raspberry Pi and you'll find loads of stuff. That is also how I found the dinky little keyboard that I showed you before. Now, I'm going to tell you how I've been getting on, or rather how I've not been getting on. This... I am irritated with this. It does work, but the advert or the description on Amazon says it's got a range of 100 feet. Now when I tested this out, I tested it out on Andrea's PC downstairs, where I had it sitting on the desk directly above her PC, and it worked absolutely fine, so I assumed, great, it works. And I assumed everything that it said it would do. Well, it don't. 100-foot range? No. You're talking 3 foot, 5 foot if you're lucky. Any obstructions between you and the receiver, forget it. It just doesn't do the trick. So while it looks great and it's a fantastic idea, maybe this is just a bad one, because on Amazon, looking at the user reviews, some people say it's great and some people say it's a piece of shit. I may have just got a bad one, but this one, 3 foot, 5 foot tops, rubbish. It kinda fine if you just want a nice small keyboard and you want to work right next to your Pi. I kinda wanted to sit on the sofa downstairs and use it like a remote control for media playing and stuff, playing films on it on the big telly. That just ain't gonna work because the range isn't high enough. However, that plan is completely out of the window, because another thing I've discovered with this is, actually I've discovered quite a few things that I'm frustrated by. Now this might actually be a problem with the TV, rather than this. This works absolutely brilliantly on my Sanyo LCD HD TV that I've got in my games room. Plug it in, it works. High resolution output, beautiful. Works every time without fail. Plug it in downstairs. Sometimes it works and gives you a low resolution output, probably 640, 480, kinda. It's just big, you know. All the icons and text are big compared to what comes out on my telly. And sometimes it just doesn't work. You turn it on and the TV says no signal. Now, is it that... One explanation I've read is that some HD TVs via HDMI don't send a signal to tell whatever it is you're using that they're there, or what they are, or what their specifications are. So my guess is this thing is sometimes it's figuring, well, I'm hooked into something but I don't know what, so I'll just send this signal. And sometimes it's just deciding, I don't think there's anything there, so I'm not sending a signal. And then we get no picture on the telly. It's something like that. I don't know the exact cause. I just know that on the TV downstairs it's unreliable to the point of not being worth bothering with, which completely renders my plan of watching films on it null and void. It's not going to happen, and I'm disappointed. The other thing I'm finding, getting internet access. The default method for getting one of these onto the internet is via that Ethernet. You got to wire it into your router. The starter kit I got gave me a cable, which is cool. So I don't have a high definition TV anywhere near the router, so I'm going to have to plug it into that little black and white telly to get it near enough to the router to plug in to get on the internet, because you have to get onto the internet to install the drivers to be able to run one of these, which is a little Wi-Fi dongle. This one specifically says it works with Linux, so I hope it does. There's another thing. Everything I've read about these says you shouldn't plug your Wi-Fi dongle directly into this, because they draw too much power. I've got a good power supply. It's like these are recommended. You need a power supply that will run 750 milliamps minimum. Mine pushes 1,000, so there's a it's just that this itself doesn't want to push that much power out to run a Wi-Fi dongle. It might be enough to run the little command where it'll tell you what drivers you need, but if you actually want to use it to hook up to Wi-Fi, you need a USB hub. And therein is another problem, because even at such a point as I managed to download, like use the Ethernet to download the drivers, you must use a powered hub. I bought a powered hub. It arrived today. I've been waiting about a week for it, and it arrived today, and I eagerly plugged it in, and guess what? Not compatible. Doesn't work. The hub works, the Pi doesn't recognize it. And I've looked on the forums and everything, and this is common. Lots of things just plain don't work with it. Now, I've since ordered a hub that is reported to work, so I will eventually be able to plug that dongle in and have it work, and I'll get the drivers and eventually get it on the internet. But given that it won't work on the telly downstairs now, I'm just like... Thing is, I totally understand that this is a gadget intended mainly for education. The idea is it's dirt cheap. You're going to have a USB mouse, you're going to have a USB keyboard, and it's for kids to get to grips with and learn how to program. So you spend your £25 and you've got a programming tool that's dirt cheap that you can run on a telly or something, and for that it's fantastic. What bothers me is it has supposedly accessibility for other options, peripherals, industry standard stuff like HDMI, like USB, internet access, things that we take for granted in terms of you plug them in and they work. I understand the Wi-Fi dongle not having the drivers built in. This thing is all about being really small. The operating system, I've got Debian Squeeze, the version made specifically for the Pi, the version that is recommended as the one that noobs like me start with. I understand that not having the drivers for my particular Wi-Fi dongle, because if they add the drivers for every Wi-Fi dongle, it's going to get bloated. Not a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that you can plug something like this in, USB. It's universal serial bus, or whatever it stands for. This, I should be able to just plug it in and it should work. No questions asked, no pissing around, no incompatibility, and it doesn't. You gotta search the forums to find one that works. Not good enough. So, yeah. There are aspects that I find completely forgivable. I know it's not meant to be a mass market thing, gadget, whatever. It's not a style thing. It's not a PlayStation. It's not a console. It's not a plug and play. It's for geeks, and it's for education, and it's something that you've got to get your hands dirty to get the most out of. I get that. But I do think when certain things that should work out of the box don't, well, it pisses me off. You know, a USB hub should just work, and it doesn't. So I'm annoyed. An HDMI input, output should just work, and it doesn't. It'll work on one telly, it won't work on another. Some people are probably going to find they've bought this thing and they're just going to have to send it back because it won't work for them. If I had paid for this myself, I would be really pissed off. Actually, I mean, I didn't pay for the, I was given the Raspberry, but I bought all these other things for it. And yeah, I can't, it's not the fault of the Raspberry that this is shite. I'm annoyed. It's part of the whole process that for me is annoying me. But it's not their fault that that is a piece of shit. And I understand the lack of support built in for Wi-Fi dongles. But on the plus side, I have found this to be really helpful. It's Beginning Raspberry Pi by Scott Wren. Happens to be a friend of Stu Cambridge, it turns out. So he told me on Twitter. I found that to be really useful because you don't get a manual with this, with the Pi. So it's like you can either search the forums just to find out how to do the very basics, or you can get that, and I think it was on like $4.99 on Amazon. Is a Kindle thing that there's no physical copy, but if you can read Kindle books, and you can read them on virtually anything, you can PC, iPhone, iPad, Kindle thing itself, Xbox, PS3, there's a Kindle reader for everything. That is worth getting if you've got a Pi. So anyway, yeah, where am I at the moment? Where am I going to go with this? I'm not giving up. I am frustrated and irritated, but these things pass. I have got a new USB hub ordered, express delivery. I'm hoping it will arrive tomorrow. When that comes along, I will stick in the dongle thing, run the command to find out what driver I need. I'll then take it downstairs, hook it up to my little portable telly, pray that it works, wire it into the hub, and download the drivers. Pray that there are some. I've got 2 other dongles that I can try if that one's not going to work. Yeah, download the drivers, install all of them, bring it back up here, bung it in there, and then see what I can do from there. Once I've got internet access on it, I will then start looking into what I actually want to do with it, because plan A is out the window now. It's not going to be any good as a media player on the telly downstairs. It's like I'd ripped loads of my DVDs and got them. I've got them on this big hard drive thing that's sitting just here. And I was going to put a load of them onto a big USB memory stick type thing. I've got a 64 gig one in the post and has been for 2 weeks, and God, they're slow. Anyway, so that's not going to work now. It's not going to be a media player, so it's going to be in there in the games room. Don't know what I'm going to do with it now. I ain't got a clue. Maybe I'll learn to program. But I could do that on my PC. It's a tricky one. What do you do with a thing like this? If it's not just going to be a small convenient media player, I don't know, I'm going to tinker. And that's really what they're about anyway. It's a tinkering and a tinkerer's tool, gadget, gizmo thing. Yeah, we will see. It's going to be an ongoing project. I'm hoping the initial irritation will pass when I get it working. I know there are lots of different versions of operating systems either out there for it already or in development. Riscos, I believe, if it's not available, it will be soon. There are other versions of Linux for it. There's one that's intended purely as a media player. I might try that just to... maybe it will recognise the telly downstairs and I could just switch out, because the whole operating system sits on an SD card, I could just switch SD cards depending on what I'm doing with it. Maybe, who knows. Lots of options. Initially irritated, but still hopeful I'll come up with something useful to do with it, or at least amusing. But yes, if you want something that works out of the box, probably shouldn't buy one. Okay, moving on. God, that was a bit of a grumble, wasn't it? And yeah, I know that there will be lots of people who know lots of things, very technical stuff about Linux, who will know far, far more about it than me, who will give me lots of very technical advice. I will say now, please don't, because I won't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm not a technically minded person. I don't know Linux. If it's not easy, you know, I won't understand. Because if you can't do it with if it works with one command or a graphic user interface, I'll give it a go. But it's like when it starts getting on into all this, compile your kernel and do this and do that, I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. Okay. Right. Moving on. Again. Kind of an unformed thought here. Some of you, I think about a few of you, will have noticed a video I put up on my other channel, on Benway's World, where I had bought a DVD full of scanned comics. And one of them, actually two of them, they were comics that I read when I was a kid. And I showed this particular comic, issue 1 of Starlord from 1978, which I had back then. And the thing with that, back in 1978, okay, firstly we were poor, so to have a comic was cool. To have anything was good, because pocket money was hard to come by. Buying stuff, you know, whenever you got something you treasured it. So if I bought a comic, I read it over and over and over and over until they were trashed, which ultimately they were. So I bought this Starlord comic for every issue from start to finish until it was discontinued. I had them all, and I read them all umpteen times over, hundreds maybe. And that was the last I ever saw of them, you know, that they wore out, they got thrown away. And that was a long time ago. And I'd largely, it's like I remember the title of the comic and I remember basically what the stories were about. And then I bought this DVD with the scans and I've been reading through them. And it has been very interesting, surprising, kind of freaky how it's made me feel looking at them. Because apart from the fact that I remember the stories, I remember the scenes, each picture in the comic, I've seen it so many times, but so long ago, it kind of surprises me that I look at it, at each picture, and it's like it was yesterday. And that's kind of freaky. It was like completely forgotten for 35 years, or thereabouts. Is it that long? God, it is, isn't it? 34 years. Completely forgotten all of these things for 30 years, and then I just look at them and bam, it's there. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it's a very strange experience. It's a strange sensation. It makes my head feel weird. I can't explain it better than that. There's almost a physical sensation, like being hit on the head and you go, whoa! And it kind of got me thinking, are there any games like that that make me feel that way, or would make me feel that way? And by extension, are there any games that make you feel that way? Is there a game you've played as a kid a long, long time ago and haven't played since, but have maybe picked up recently, and it just makes you go, whoa? And I sat there asking myself this question, because there aren't many games that I played back then that I haven't played since. You know, it's like Atari games. Well, I've had an Atari for quite a while, 10 years, 15 years. So there isn't a massive gap. It's like my Amiga. I haven't been without an Amiga ever since I first got one. So quite often there isn't that, holy cow, I remember this. But there is one. There is an Atari game, which I haven't got at the moment. But I watched a video of it not so long ago that does the same thing. And that is Return of the Jedi on the 2600. I had that back in 83. and played it to death. I loved it. I thought the colour effects on it were brilliant. And it was Star Wars, and I loved Star Wars. And I watched a video of that. I think it was Classic Game Room was playing it, and there was just this mental thing going on. It's just like transferred all the way back to 1983 or whenever. And yeah, it does strange things to your head. So is there a game? Consider this an open tag, if you like. Is there a game that you haven't played in, let's say, 30 years, for those of you who are 35 or 40, but you know, it can be less if you're younger, because I know quite a few of you are a good bit younger. But is there a game you haven't played in decades, let's say decades, that really make you go, wow, I remember that, you know, do that head thing that just, do you know what I mean? Yeah. What game does that for you? I should have a shout out now, but I haven't. I've been having a busy week, and I haven't actually been watching that many people's videos. There are some people I need to shout out, but I've not watched enough to do them justice just yet. Wow, justice just yet. Try saying that quickly, especially, I don't know, after a couple of beers. So yeah, I'm not going to do a shout out, because I do like to do people at least a little bit of justice, and it would not be fair right now because I can't. I should probably edit that. That's completely appalling waffle ramble thing. So what's coming up? You know. I want to try and do some more Commodore 64 stuff. I actually put it away and got it out of the way because I was tinkering with the Raspberry and I wanted space back on the desk. But I will be getting that back out and do some more Commodore 64 stuff. There will be more TV Boy stuff, just because it's so damned easy. There will be more Skyrim, because I love it. And I know it's not retro, but it's great. And what I won't at any point be doing is just putting, you know, there will not be a day where you just get a Skyrim video, because this is a retro channel. So anything Skyrim will always be like added bonus at the end, well, middle of the night really, because it takes so damn long to upload them, because they're so long. Yeah, there'll be like a middle of the night, early hours of the morning bonus video at such times as I get the time. Yeah, there we go. Trying to edit all of this down to something kind of meaningful and succinct. No, you'll never get a succinct video from me. No, that's not even true either. I should edit that out as well. What a load of waffle. Okay. Going now. Thank you for watching.